G'day guys, Mac with the Circle. First, apologies. I haven't been putting out videos because I'm pretty crook. I actually took the day off work. I just feel like absolute shit and have felt like shit for 4 days. I've been informed by my missus that I sound like I'm drowning in my sleep, but unfortunately for everyone, it hasn't happened yet. Such is life. Anyway, today's episode, I talk about different plastic kits that Games Workshop makes that you can use in 30k to represent different consoles, HQs, that kind of thing. Why am I doing this? Well, first, a lot of stuff has gone last chance to borrow out of production, and basically, the only consoles that Forge World sells right now are Apothecaries, Techmarines, and your generic sort of champion type guys, and the Master of Signals. That's... oh, and I apologise, there's also the Moritat. But apart from that, everything else is either last chance to buy, has already gone out of production, is a limited edition or event only miniature. So obviously this creates a lot of problems with getting models. And what I'm going to go through today are a list of different models that for some may be 30k elite or purist, and for others will be perfectly acceptable. It really just depends, but I'm going to point out the models I think translate across really well, and what my suggestions are to people of, maybe you should use this model to represent this, that or the other. So hopefully you all get something out of it. Anyway, right now this is the two sort of characters you get in the Betrayal at Calth box set. You get the Space Marine Commander who has the Chain Fist and Cataphractii armor and the Cobby Melter, and you get the Chaplain with the Plasma Pistol and the Crozius Power Maul. Not a very common choice. Most people who take Chaplain in 30k take him with the Power Axe as his Crozius, and it is the better choice. Also, the Plasma Pistol is not really taken that often. I do see them with Blood Angels armies with Inferno Pistols and Salamanders, because that little bit of anti-tank firepower can be pretty handy at times, but yeah, the Plasma Pistol is not really that great. Anyway, let's get into it. So, first of all, the Finecast Techmarine. Perfectly good model, comes with this awesome servo harness, very easy model to attach upgrades to. So you can have the flamer, you can have the plasma, you can put the conversion beamer on there, which is out of production, so you can get it either from, say, Anvil Industries do a good one, and I think Cromlech does one as well. So in both those cases you could use their conversion beamer, or if you know someone who has the Linnean Terminator set, perhaps you can get one out of there, or in my instance, I even used parts out of the 40k Adeptus Mechanicus range that looked like a conversion beamer. So there's lots of ways you can do it and get it on there. For those who are interested, that's one way you could go. And as it goes, this model doesn't represent any single chapter, which is great. It's really easy to convert in that regard, and would look great just with like some Iron Hands upgrades on him, I think. Like a shoulder pad, or maybe even a bionic arm. You just play around with it a bit. It's fine cast, it's pretty easy to cut into. If you don't like that backpack, there is nothing wrong with getting, say, a Mark III backpack, slapping that on him, cutting off one of the engine nacelles on the back of it, and then attaching one of the servo arms to that joint. That's how I make a lot of my servo arms and backpacks, and it looks fantastic in my opinion. Same again for this model, which is essentially the same model but with a bolt gun in his hand and wearing a helmet. Obviously these 40k models do tend to have more bits of parchment hanging off them, we'll say, purity seals, that kind of thing. For the purity seals, just call them Oath of Moment. It's a thing in 30k. And yeah, don't be too worried about the parchment, maybe he's got some instructions for something he's working on written on it, who knows. But again, same sort of thing. Maybe swap out the arm for a Power Fist. Maybe have a Thunder Hammer. If you're playing certain legions, you can take a Storm Shield or a Boarding Shield. It's a good option. So these are things to look at. Choice is yours. This one's a good little kit because it comes with a bunch of Servitors. And you can take Servitors in 30k. So again, there's some options maybe you can think about with these kits. And for some people, Games Workshop will be a lot cheaper than Forge World and a lot easier to work with and handle, especially if it's white metal or plastic. Just ignore the Australian pricing. We all know it's fucked. Just don't look at that. Don't look at that. Alright. Space Marine Company Command. Now, this one is a good way of getting a command squad into your force. You also get the parts to make an apothecary with. Personal advice is try not to use more than, say, the banner arm, the apothecary upgrade parts, the champion shield and sword, because a lot of the parts are Mark 8 and Mark 7 power armor. But that said, what you can do is just combine it with half a box of Space Marines out of Betrayal at Kelth. Just do a simple chest and leg swap, and you'll get most of the parts you need, and you can create a bunch of Mark 4 or Mark 3 armor doing that. And you get, you know, the plastic banner, which is easy to work with, the plastic apothecary, which is great. You could even magnetize that arm that has the chainsword currently, maybe put a power fist on there, or something else that you can put on a Primus Medicae. So those are options you can work with. And of course, the hero out front is wearing Mark 6 power armor, so there's very little you need to do with him straight off the bat. He doesn't have any chapter specific symbols or anything like that on him. And the helmet, whilst yeah, it's kind of a Mark 7 helmet, it could just be a very stylized Mark 4 one for 30k, like a Sarum pattern. If you know, I don't think anyone's going to argue with you over it. If you clearly put in the effort to build these armies and make them look like they belong in 30k, no one will ever be elitist and tell you your army's shit. It's the people who literally take an army that's all 40k models, that's clearly just their 40k army, and they say, yeah, this is a 30k army. Those are the people who cop it from the elitists. So just think about that. Another great one is this older kit, many models of which I've used myself, the Masters of the Chapter. This one's great because you get characters who, except for the guy with the axe in the back, everyone is in Mark 3 or Mark 6 armor. Very handy, good for the Raven Guard, Alpha Legion, and most legions really can use these guys to some extent. And they all come with cool weapons, like clearly there's Paragon Blades here, some sort of Gladius or Power Dagger, and yeah, okay, some of the stuff's over the top, like the guy at the back right has a lot of purity seals, that kind of thing, but if you remove, say, his left arm, that gets rid of the horrible 40k bolter and half a dozen purity seals straight off the bat. Maybe replace it with something else, a power fist or another shooting weapon, and yeah, he'll look the part in 30k. Honestly, the guy who looks the least 30k is the back left, and even then, he's still not too bad. I'd probably just replace the shield on him, maybe the backpack, and use him as something else. Some sort of HQ or command squad is definitely in the making here. Beautiful kits. Alright, here's another one, the Terminator Chaplain. Now, this model I believe is in Finecast currently. Let's just have a look. Yes, it is Finecast, so very easy material to work with realistically. All these purity seals are on flat parts of the shins, so a fine scalpel, you can easily slice off the purity seals if you don't want to keep them there. Now, another cool thing is you can cut off both the arms, or just not even attach both the arms, replace them with leftover arms out of your Tartarus Terminators, or maybe the Cataphractii Terminators, but definitely the Tartarus Terminators. See, the torso is so close still to what they have in 30k on Terminators, you could simply get away with an arm swap here and he will look perfect in 30k. Bonus points if you keep the Crozius Arcanum and you just cut his hand off at the wrist and then pin it to the new arms as his 30k weapon. He will look great. I'm telling you, that would look fucking great. Same story again for the Terminator Librarian. This time, this model is in plastic. Now again, the purity seals are on the cloak, and they're on an area of the cloak that's kind of easy to access, easy to file, easy to hit with scalpels. See, when I work on a cloak like this, what I do is I shave them off with a scalpel, then I use a file to obviously smooth the surface right out, and then I go in with some very fine grade sandpaper, like 800,000 grit, to just clean it back and make it damn smooth. And there's a lot of models in my armies that were very 40k and now don't look it at all. This is one of those models you can do that with, and this will give you a 30k Librarian. Now, there's nothing wrong with using this pattern of Terminator armor in 30k. It actually was around. It was a very uncommon pattern, the Indomitus pattern, this is called. That said, I would still do an arm swap in some capacity. Tartarus Terminator arms definitely would look much better on this model. And again, big points if you want to keep the force stave. So another good one. This model here, of course, is a 40k model with the cyber cherub and that kind of thing, but really all it needs to change is the legs. I would just swap this for a pair of Mark 3 or Mark 4 legs. Probably Mark 4 would suit him better, or you could even get away with Mark 6, and that's it. That's how simple it is. You got a 30k model. I would probably not put on the cyber cherub though. It's just a bit creepy, and it wasn't a thing in 30k. Another one, this is another older chaplain, a librarian. What a mistake. This one I actually have spares of in my personal kit. Just waiting for the right army to put it into. And yeah, he's in Mark 6 power armor, with a hint of Mark 5 as well to it. This is basically just good to go for 30k straight away. He's armed with a great weapon. The Force Axe is definitely the weapon you want on a librarian. Has a plasma pistol. You probably never use it. You could probably swap it out for something like a combi bolter, or if you're in the right legion, maybe an Inferno pistol. Volkite's Penta. Volkite Charger. I get them mixed up all the time. A Volkite pistol, whatever one they're called. But yeah, this is a 30k model, essentially. So there's no reason why you can't use this model in your 30k armies. Librarian Terrace of the Ultramarines. Honestly, he's in the right type of power armor. That's Mark 6 power armor. I would just cut the arms off, maybe not go for that giant banner on the back of him, and you're pretty much there. That's a 30k model. Alright, what else have we got? The Old Marneus Calgar. This is the 2nd edition sculpt of Marneus in power armor. But if you remove those two gigantic power fists with bolters built into them, or even just one of them, you have a 30k HQ. He's in Mark 6 power armor. Yeah, he's an Ultramarine specific HQ, I admit, but there's probably the basis here for a good commander for an Ultramarines army. Don't have to use it, but again, there's probably people who have Old Marneus Calgar in power armor sitting around in their bits box. If you want to use it, maybe you're building 30k Ultramarines, there he is, go for it. Another one is the Sergeant Chronus, who's again 40k, but he's in Mark 3 power armor. A little bit different to 30k Mark 3, but you literally just have to shave the Ultramarine symbols off him, and there you go. This would make a great Praevian Consul, or even the Iron Hands Castraman Orth tank commander upgrade. So that's options right there. Perfectly good model for either of those. Maybe even a Siegebreaker would be another good one. Perhaps give him a Thunderhammer if you were going to run him as a Siegebreaker, something like that, or a Combi Melter. It's good to go. Why not use this model? He will stand out in the crowd. Of course, there's Chaplain Cassius, who makes another good chaplain. Now, on the plus side, he is in Mark 4 armor. On the downside, it does have a Tyranid-shaped Crozius Arcanum, has like a Tyranid head on it, and of course you have to get rid of the Ultramarine symbols. But apart from that, again, another good model that you could probably use in 30k for something. Now we're getting sort of towards the end of it. What we have here is Cypher. What do you do with Cypher? This here is a Moritat waiting to happen. Maybe not a Moritat, maybe something else. Maybe this could be the Nemean Reaver. You see, there's a lot of different 30k special characters, that kind of thing. This guy could fill those roles. I wouldn't go around arming him with the Lion Sword on his back, so the first change I'd make would be just to remove this backpack entirely and replace it with a different backpack. Just the standard Mark 3 or Mark 4 one should be fine, and the cloak shouldn't have too much filling in required on the back at all. It should just slot straight into place. Now, obviously he's reaching for the 2 pistols. This is a fantastic Moritat for a Dark Angels army. This could even be a fun character in general for a Dark Angels army, but it doesn't mean it's restricted to a Dark Angels army. What if you arm this guy with a rifle, painted up the damaged hood that he's wearing as a camo cloak? This could be a Vigilator or a Saboteur. for an Alpha Legion army. So you've got to think outside the box when it comes to these characters. Yeah, he's sort of got this cobbled together look. What if this was also a Death Guard siege breaker? Wearing a sort of hooded shroud like Mortarion does. He's got bits of extra armour he's put on for more stability, more protection. He could be holding a Thunderhammer or a Power Fist instead for his right arm. Options. They're there, you just got to put it together in your mind what it may come out as. Now, you can't half-ass these things, you've got to put a lot of effort in with some of these ideas. But I'm just giving people sort of an idea of what you can do with these models. Now, let's go off the deep end a little. Let's say you're building something for the Dark Mechanicum, or Dark Mechanicum themed, especially Iron Warriors. Then the Warpsmith is a good one to look at. This model is, it's pretty crazy. It's got a lot going on, but you don't have to use all of the tendrils that are coming off him. Just a couple. But this could make a great Praevian who's leading some Dark Mechanicum, Vorax or Castellax into battle. Has all these conduits coming off his back and power cabling. This is a fun model. You could cut the head off the axe and replace it with a hammerhead to make it a big thunder hammer that he's holding. You could replace his pistol with a boarding shield. Again, simple ideas, and in the right force could look great. Yeah, the chest is a big Chaos Star, but there's nothing preventing you from shaving it off or just keeping it. Why can't you keep it and use it in 30k? Nothing says that you can't, especially if he's a traitor. I mean, that would be, I guess, the key defining criteria. Is he a traitor? No, probably doesn't need a Chaos Star then. Alright, what else? What if you're doing a Knights Errant? A lot of people can run their own Knights Errant in 30k, or the sort of pseudo-Inquisition. Castellan Crow is a perfect little Knight Errant. I would do very minor things to this model. You could probably keep the Storm Bolter on the wrist. I would just replace the barrels with something that looks more like a traditional 30k Combi Bolter. Maybe even give it a Melter Barrel and a normal Bolter Barrel. That way he's got the choice of a Combi Bolter weapon. But this is essentially a 30k Knight Errant, armed with some sort of power sword. I'd probably, again, shave a bit of the chaosy stuff off the hilt of the sword, or the crossguard. Maybe wouldn't put on the banner on the back, but he's there. This is wearing Mark 6 armor. Yeah, the head is, I guess technically it's a Mark 8 Errant pattern helmet, but, or an Aegis pattern helmet for the Grey Knights, but why not? This saves you from buying Tylos Rubio or Nathaniel Garrow, who are both very expensive character series models. And there's nothing to say you couldn't use this model to represent either of them if you converted it right. So, there's some more ideas to take on board. What if you play another faction like, say, the Emperor's Children? Well, you could buy the 40k Fabius Bile. I would cut off both his arms from the elbow upwards and remove the shoulder pads. I would put his weapons, the Rod of Torment and the needle rifle, I forget what it's called. I would put them onto a 30k Apothecary and give them his Chirurgeon backpack. There you go, you've got a 30k Fabius Bile as a bit of a wink and a nod, and it makes your Primus Medicae Apothecary stand out from the other apothecaries you're likely to have in your Emperor's Children army, because they are very popular in Emperor's Children armies. If you're playing Word Bearers, which some people really do like, I personally am quite a big fan of the Word Bearers, then the Dark Apostle perfectly fits in. This would make a great chaplain, praetor, or character in general for a Word Bearer's army. There is nothing saying you have to keep the Crozius. You could swap out his right hand for any sort of weapon. Basically, you swap out his whole right arm if you liked. You swap out his whole left arm if you liked. When Erebus and Corferon's models were actually sculpted, the sculptor Edgar Skoromowski, he actually used this model as inspiration. You can actually watch the video on it on YouTube. And he said, I wanted it to look like this model, to say this is where they're going to end up, and you can see it. Erebus looks very similar to the Dark Apostle from 40k. So I think this is a shoo-in for 30k. Either as a chaplain or a commander of another kind in that army. And last but not least of the 40k models I would definitely use in 30k, the old Iron Warriors Warsmith, which is another 3rd edition era special. This one you can pretty much just use straight off the bat. There is nothing very chaosy about it. Yeah, he's got a little bit of gold trim, but it's not over the top like what chaos models are now when they come out. This is very down to earth. Yeah, the backpack's a little bit evil looking, it's got a skull on the end of the nacelle, but the Anvilus backpack was in use in the Heresy. That's the Chaos style backpack with the big wide nacelles on the back. That's called the Anvilus pattern. And yeah, it was in the Heresy. And of course he's wearing a variant of sort of Mark II, Mark III armour with bits of Mark IV and 5 in there. It's a real mishmash of design choices, which Chaos always has been in 40k. Perfect model to use to represent, a Warsmith, Siegebreaker, Master of the Forge, that kind of thing in an Iron Warriors army in 30k. Again, stands out from the crowd, cool looking model. So anyway, that's a whole bunch of different models that I like, and Games Workshop models at that. You see, everyone thinks I hate Games Workshop. I don't. I hate their business practices. It's a completely different kettle of fish. I like a lot of their models, and if I think they're the best model for the job, I will recommend them. And here you have a whole range of different models, all produced by Games Workshop, which can all be used in 30k and all look great in 30k if you take the time and effort to prepare them correctly. Just little things like backpacks, weapons, shaving off 40k icons, that kind of thing, and you can have a great 30k character series of your own. And they're a lot cheaper than buying them from Forge World for those of you who live overseas. For Australians, yeah, you're fucked either way. Just live with it. But I mean, Iron Warriors Warsmith for 22 Australian dollars, that's got to be like, what? It's probably £12, something like that in the UK, not even. That's perfect. Go for it. I'm Mac with the Outer Circle. Hope you all enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you all next time.